guys, today we're going to talk about the first of 4 macromolecules that we'll be covering over the next couple days, carbohydrates. I want you to take a look at these examples and maybe revisit them later because you need to be responsible for examples later and people really struggle with it.
So to start out, we'll talk about what carbohydrates are made of. And they're made of 3 different atoms, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And one of the unique things about carbohydrates is that they always have a 1 carbon to 1 oxygen ratio. And so that kind of makes it unique or different from some of the other macromolecules. And here we've got an example of a formula, C6H12O6. You might have remember this from when we talked about sugars in some of our previous units. We've got 6 carbon and 6 oxygen. And this is a formula that you'll need to know for our class and throughout probably most of the rest of your science career. It's a pretty common structural formula for sugar, C6H12O6.
Yeah, so you'll see this drawn also, but this is the chemical formula, or the shorthand for that. So many of the macromolecules, there are building blocks and then there are bigger structures. So the monomer, or the smallest unit of the carbohydrates, is this ring structure. So confusing thing about carbohydrates is you can call the monomers monosaccharides, meaning single sugars. So the 2 most famous examples are glucose and fructose. And up here we have an example of glucose, that ringed carbon structure. If you glue 2 of these monomers together, you get a disaccharide, or sucrose, which is table sugar. And if you keep gluing monomers of carbohydrates together, you get a very large polysaccharide. And we have an error here. Instead of table sugar, you can think of things like starch that you might find in like pastas.
And so some types of carbohydrates that are important to know. Starch is the first one, and it's a highly branched glucose molecule used to store energy. That's probably one of the primary purposes of carbohydrates, is to store energy for short term. You think about athletes or long distance runners, for example, they will eat or consume kind of sugar packets to help give them energy while they're running or working out. Another example is cellulose, and that forms cell walls and provides support in plants, and it kind of looks like a chain link fence.
And then you also have glycogen, which is kind of like animal starch in that it stores short-term energy in animals so that it can then be broken down. Because glycogen is a big polymer or polysaccharide, and then you can break it down into all the little monomers that your body can then use for energy. And so while glycogen is an energy molecule, is it chitin?
Chitin.
Chitin is a structure molecule, just like cellulose. So in animals, chitin will be used to form the shells of a lot of insects. So you're actually using a carbohydrate to what we might call like the exoskeleton. So if you look at these again, 1 and 3 are energy, and 2 and 4 are structure and support. Ooh, that was it.
And that's it for carbohydrates.
That was short. That's good.